there, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Rock and Horror Podcast Show. Actually, welcome to two very special episodes of the Rock and Horror Podcast Show, because you're going to find that we were not able to fit all the stories and all the fun we had with our guests into one single episode. So parts 1 and part 2 are live right now on YouTube, and they are also live on your favorite podcasting platform. But you know that already because you're listening to them and or watching them. So make sure that you're starting with part 1, not part 2, because you're going to lose things in context if you start with the wrong episode. And you can do that simply by looking at your screen, seeing if it says part 2 or seeing if it says part 1. I'm just trying to give you a word of caution because I only want to do this intro one time. I want to get you guys right into the fun. The show that we're talking about on this episode is Forever Plaid. Forever Plaid was a 1989 off-Broadway musical review that became an international sensation. It plays all over the world, even to this day, 32 some odd years later. Now, in 2009, 20 years after it opened, it also became a motion picture. And starring as Smudge in that movie was David Engel, and starring as Sparky in that movie was Larry Raben. And I am so excited to tell you that they're both on the show this episode. Equal to that is the fact that the god of Plaid himself, the writer, choreographer, and director of the original show and the movie, Stuart Ross, graciously came on to discuss the show with us. I'm so thrilled that they were able to come on the show and talk about their experiences. I know you're going to be thrilled when you hear the stories, and that's about it. So without any further ado, buckle up your seatbelts, sit back, relax, and let us bring you into Plaidland.
Once upon a time, on February 9th, 1964, a semi-professional harmony group from eastern Pennsylvania was on their way to their first big gig at the Airport Hilton cocktail bar, the Fusel Lounge. While driving their cherry red 1954 Mercury convertible, they were rehearsing their finale, Love is a Many Splendored Thing. They were just getting into their favorite E-flat diminished 7th chord when they were slammed broadside by a school bus filled with eager Catholic teens from Our Lady of Harrisburg. The teens were on their way to witness the Beatles make their U.S. television debut on The Ed Sullivan Show and miraculously escaped uninjured. The harmony group, however, was killed instantly. What happens when a harmony group is snuffed out mid-coda? Where do those unresolved chords of those unresolved lives end up? Parapsychologists believe that their spirits are doomed to wander the astral plane, never resting, until that exact moment when the harsh sounds of human discord reach deafening proportions and channel them through the dimensions. Only then may they return to Earth to complete their mission of harmony and be at peace for all eternity. Ladies and gentlemen, that moment draws near. And now, for the first time on this or any other planet, Forever Plaid.
Robert, the comment about Smudge was always interesting to me, because it seems like Smudge, like you said, there's what's here, but Smudge is the one that has the biggest growth moment. He has the arc of the show.
Yep.
And it's kind of built around that. I don't want to be here. I don't want to leave. I mean,
right.
Not exactly.
No, and when I give my, and I'm gonna say I because it's me or Jacob a little bit later, but when I give that monologue with the records and talking about the diner and the jukebox lady, and David, I pulled directly off of you. I did not want to mimic you in any way, shape, or form, but your singular moment in the movie that I saw that made my Smudge. When I knew that I wanted to make people feel the way that you made me feel on the other side of that screen when you gave that monologue. And it's such a perfect moment. And when I say, you know, it was a good dream, it's you're right there in my head. And
Well,
I watch those people and I'm like, they got it. They get it. It's awesome.
You know, when because first of all, Forever Plaid was the first show. I mean, Stuart and James took total risk with me because I was strictly a dancer and hadn't really ever sung or spoken on stage. And I was so insecure. And we did it in Rochester, the Downstairs Cabaret, and Stuart was directing me. And I think that monologue comes out of a lot of insecurity, but Stuart directed me to just hold, remember this, the pole.
There was a pole in the corner of the stage.
And so I hugged the pole and it gave me security, but it was, I mean, that whole monologue just kind of came from, I mean, it came from the story, you know, and it's that really is Stuart's story with the, I mean, not necessarily in the playpen, but with the 45.
Oh, the playpen, that was true.
Oh, it was, okay.
Yeah.
In the playpen.
Wow. Yeah, it was in a playpen.
Oh, okay, that's the real thing. But I mean, it's his story, but it was also the way you were directing me, and it really did give me confidence too. I mean, it gave me security to hold onto that pole, and I was like holding onto it tight. But it was, anyway. It was out of insecurity that was kind of born that sweetness. I think that is important about that, and his connection to the records, and then just being really so important to him.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Most good musicals, I hope. I mean, I was in the middle of studying libretto writing from like BMI and other places, but I came up with my own ideas. But most good shows, the lead characters go from no self-esteem to esteem, or puppy love to real love.
Right.
And so I had to follow that through with almost every character. I mean, Sparky, if Sparky sang Rags to Riches, it would be like no big deal. I mean, of course he would sing Rags,
right. It would almost be like a Sparky type number two.
So basically in the second or third act of the show, however you divide it, but Sparky had to do the calm number, the emotional moment of opening himself up with Perry Como.
Yeah. And I do have to ask David. So
Me, David?
Which
David?
Oh yeah.
We got a lot.
I do have to ask.
You have to get it in here too, though. We need to hear from you.
I do have to ask OG.
You've tried to interrupt a couple times, but we eclipse you. Go ahead.
When you do your glasses off in the movie, was that special effects? Was that a string on your glasses? What was that?
No, I mean, I could probably do it with these, but no. So, it was well, Stuart wanted me to get rid of him because this was like a Clark Kent.
Yep, Superman.
That was the idea. He wanted me to get rid of him, and I just did it once. I mean, they would fall off, and so I intentionally did it, and we called Stuart in, and Robert was able to catch them, but we ended up having to rig to have two pair, one pair that does this, that doesn't fall off, and one pair that's straight. So just before that number, just before when we're changing into our jackets off stage, I had the other pair set in my coat and I swap them out. So boom, and all I do was just quick look and see, these won't come off. They might. Sure.
Wow.
Now we need to take a break.
I've never been able to do that, so I do the whole boom and throw.
No, I just
for some reason, and I sweat. I'm a sweater. Like,
but do you have a second pair? Do you put on a second pair?
No, these are the ones I use, and they're actually my old sunglasses. I just made them, but
if you have a second pair, you can make them loose and
make them loose. Yeah, and I guarantee I have in other productions, and it's never worked for me. And we've tried everything.
It's a hard thing to teach anybody.
We waited one side, and So it became a
Right.
thing of like looking at the audience and taking them off and throwing them is kind of what I've
That
had to
worked.
do.
It
That
totally
worked.
worked. But I
It
have a
worked,
hard
but-
time trying to get anybody to learn that because people do want to go like,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just about looking at the person you're throwing it to so fast that they just go to them. That's
Yes.
all I would do. Just
With
and
the
I
clip-on, I always thought it was funny. The funniest thing was that he undoes his clip-on tie.
Oh yeah. We have, yeah,
It's like-
that's what I'm doing.
Oh, I mean, it's like the classic Dean Martin, you know, as the show, and Sammy Davis, as the show goes on, they undo their boat.
Yes.
Yeah, see,
I mean-
in the production that Frank and I did together, actually, I did not have glasses. And what we did in that number was the unbuttoning of the jacket. And one of these, with all the sweat that I had built up anyway, one of these and just into like Smudge is suddenly cool
yeah.
mode.
Yeah.
So
That's what it is. It's his big breakout. Suddenly he's got confidence.
Yeah.
The best moment of the show.
Just saying. So I wanted to say real quick, because I don't know if the guys were on yet, but when we first started this production, the theater here was almost about to close down completely after 75 years because of COVID and not they were doing oh gosh, what was the show right before? I can't think right now, sorry. But they did a one and done production, just like your production, because of COVID, everything shut down here in Colorado. And so we did some concerts out in the parking lot through COVID when we could, and then they thought they were done, but thankful for the grants. They got grants, and we were the first main stage show of this season. But also we also reached out, I think our stage manager for the Plaidemic script of some sort. So we basically started with these, our plaid masks.
Love it.
Which was so impossible, by the way, so hard to do, but it worked. We made it work. And we did use the line, and we have dinner jackets and pulled out and plaid masks. And the audience just dies every time. And we still say the plaid mask, but we don't have to wear them anymore, which is so great. But it's really been amazing just to be back, and our audience is just every night are overwhelmed at just being inside a theater again. And they're like, this is, if anything, the show that should be done right after pandemic, you know. It's just, and we're just so grateful to be part of this and to be able to share the show. Again, this is my eighth plaid almost. And I go back to my first production. I played Frankie in Dallas with the Turtle Creek Chorale. So 154 plungers on stage at the Morton Meyerson Symphony Center, which was, the whole building shook. And it was one of the coolest things I think I've ever been a part of.
Do you have that? Can I see that?
You know what? I don't, gosh, I don't know if, so Mark Fry went back with the show many years ago. He directed that and was Smudge in our production. And actually I met Guy Stroman through him during that production. And I know he must have something about it, because I know they have it in the archives of some sort, but it was truly just outrageous and just one of the coolest things to play this humongous venue in Dallas. But
You had 124 plungers?
154. So 150 behind us, and then the four of us on the main stage, 150 on risers, choral risers, and it would blow your mind to hear it. And the Ed Sullivan show was really cool because we had a smaller kind of vocal ensemble, a part of the group that did. One guy knew how to play the accordion, did full on accordion and sang the Lady of Spain, while us, the quartet, and then a few others did all of the Ed Sullivan stuff. We couldn't use fire at the Symphony Center because they wouldn't allow it, but we did use the little, our Smudge did use
the mouth.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's really been amazing to just watch the show as I've done this for so many years, and how you know, the first 3 productions were the original choreography, and then I know that the first theater I came in Colorado and did Plaid in 2012. It was a little bit of the same, but a little bit of new. But just the camaraderie never changes, no matter how the show changes choreography wise. If they don't know the original choreography, they try to do what they can. But it truly, it's something that you have to experience. You know, I know we've all done shows before, we've all been part of productions, but the Plaids are just truly the coolest brotherhood I think I've ever known. Again, just to do this tonight, you know, to meet all of y'all, it's truly just amazing. So thank you, Stuart, for your vision and just giving us this, especially now these days, like this is such a great outlet for us. And I'm just so blessed to be part of it. So thank you.
Yeah. Is this your opening night? Did you say this is your opening?
No,
night?
this is week 5.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they extended it a week, so we actually run through July 11th. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday matinee. So we do 5 shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 shows a week.
So I would like to ask everyone, yeah, I actually do speak once in a while. It's not all about Rob. So I'm sure we've all had some funny flub moments on stage. I would like to know, because the gentleman that I had the pleasure of directing here, they all decided to have the same mistake at the same time during No Not Much.
Yep.
They all decided to forget the line all at the same time, and it came out, no, not much.
Now, I will say in my defense, it sounded more like a hum over anything. It was more like, but everybody in I don't know if it was me that forgot the first word or another one of the guys, but immediately it just all went together.
It was all in
No Not Much.
It was all in their harmonies.
Yep.
It was all in their harmonies.
And I remember looking back, you know, out that way and seeing my director sitting there just with his head down.
And you know, the disappointed director head shake.
Yeah, that was and I also did break a ketchup bottle. It was disgusting. In fact, it was on my tuxedo shoes probably for much longer than it should have been, but I didn't realize that it was down around the.
You and I talked about that, didn't we, long ago? Yes, and that we did break ketchup bottles, and the reason we were using ketchup bottles because we were at Steve McGraw's, and that was like on the table there. So I mean, Stuart wanted the anvil clank sounds. We had a spoon and that, but it would go click click. It wasn't very clanky, and it would break. And then it'd be a big glassy mess. Ooh. But we quickly learned how to do it, and it was to paint the inside red, just paint, and then do a like a lamination around it, so they'll hold it together to give it integrity, and it wouldn't break.
Yeah.
And
well, see, and to be honest with you, David, that happened to me as well too. I broke the bottom portion of it, just fell.
Yeah,
and but he didn't realize at first.
No. I wish I could have done it every night. One of the biggest unintentional laughs I've ever gotten. The bottom broke, and I could hear the audience starting to laugh, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'm doing something silly funny. Then they started laughing louder, and I assumed it was my fellow Plaids behind me doing their silly dance. And then I looked down, and I only had about half a bottle left. And the music was still going. I'm still singing. So I just kept clinking until it got to the white top. And then to the guy playing piano, my good friend Jeff, and then I just dropped the white cap on top of the ketchup. And thankfully we had a wonderful stage manager who came out and cleaned it up. But
yeah, we made it part of the show.
If I could have repeated that every night, I actually would have.
Well, we actually did break the ketchup bottle for the film.
Yes.
Because it does get a great reaction when it happens, but we couldn't do it every night. But yeah, Stuart for my last clunk.
My now wife, we were dating at the time,
Oh, that's
was in the audience that evening. And fortunately for us, because it gave us a great laugh, she has a
phobia,
an extreme phobia of ketchup. So, oh yes, she can't smell it. She doesn't, and when it happened, so what contributed to the audience laughter was the sound of this grown woman dry heaving in the audience. Yeah, so she actually had to get up and leave.
Oh my God. Is it because it's like blood? Is it because it reminds her of blood?
No, it's just ketchup.
Yeah.
So when they came to see our run all these years later,
They were sitting in the front row.
Frank made sure that they sat in the front row, and of course I was stage right up towards the front of the stage, and I sat there, and I knew in my head that this woman was very, very afraid of ketchup. And perfectly staying in character and not, letting that on. I made sure I held out that bottle just a little bit further. And I hadn't broken one at that point, mind you. So yeah.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. And even the day that ketchup bottle broke, I knew the hit that broke it, and I heard it. And I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, it made that different sound.
And I thought he was making it up when he told me the story. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? We're just going to keep going. And all I remember is hearing the sound change completely. And then the plump, plump, plump. And I'm watching it hit my shoe. And now I'm afraid that if I move my shoe too quick, I'm going to hit the people in the front row. So that wouldn't have been good. So I made it work. It was what it was. And it's very tough to clean your shoe when you don't get to leave the stage.
That's every broken ketchup bottle.
Yeah.
I think it's just part of passage, it's just break the ketchup bottle.
Absolutely. I was my second time to play Frankie was with the same quartet. We went to a smaller theater in Dallas, and it was the craziest time. It was freezing in Dallas. We were rehearsing in the coldest building. It was kind of one of those like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. So then I ended up getting bronchitis before the show opened.
Oh.
And playing Frankie at that. So we're in production. We're like opening week, and I'm like coughing. We don't have swings or understudies, of course. So the only thing that was helping me was Hawaiian Punch. Why? I don't know. So we are literally, places are called. We are in the dressing room, and I go to open my bottle, and it does and there's red on my white jacket. As we're about, literally, Smudge is grabbing his suitcase. We have our candles. Panic alert! And I kid you not, we had a bleach pen. Boom, boom, boom. Gone before we walked on stage.
Wow.
Like it was a miracle. It was a Plaid miracle.
That is the Plaid miracle.
And I said, never again will I drink in costume. I shouldn't have been doing it anyway. But that was one of the scariest moments.
You live, you learn.
I have to go to a rehearsal dinner for a wedding tomorrow.
Stuart, I do want to ask you one question before you go, and I'm going to thank you immensely after that. The one question I did want to ask you, I was saving it for later, is there's been some negative review kind of type things about these older people, 47, 48. I forget how old David was when he did the movie, 45 over here, doing the show. And yes, it is supposed to be about a group of high school buddies that were in this group together. But what is the creator's opinion on older people doing this show? Because I've seen 50-somethings in 2 productions do it.
Yeah, so have I. We've gotten some negative reviews, especially when it's been small casts. Small theaters,
right.
In the round in the San Diego, in the smaller space when we did Plaid Tidings, they needed the show very quickly, and we had to use people who had done it. and they were in their close to 50s or maybe a little over. I don't know. I always say the ideal age is 28.
Yeah,
10
should
years,
be 10 years out of high school.
But I don't care personally.
And the audience still goes with it, but it is a problem. But I mean, the older you get, I mean, acting so juvenile and naive, you just look like you're mentally,
hey now.
Grow up.
Yeah, there is that quality, like on a sitcom. I mean, when it's been running 11 years and everybody's way into their 40s and they still don't know how to put a toilet roll on.
Right.
Yeah.
I also found that if you have one that's younger, it makes everybody else drop in age.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
And, but now I really won't.
That helped with
unless it's diverse, I have to, because originally it was originally, and we had a black Smudge, but he wasn't called Smudge then. And
I don't remember you ever having a black Smudge, which
we very, very, very early on when it was we were first starting out.
God,
Tommy Hollis.
we always wanted them.
And we've had, but right now I really, I'm adamant about diversity in the show, and
we love you for it.
No, nothing.
Well, no, but I mean, and we need to, and hopefully, we can get more of just, every race in there. But this music, I mean, it is kind of difficult because it was such white bread, white guy, white stuff, but it doesn't matter. I mean, but
I think it makes it funnier. Like, why does anybody want to come and see us? And they're trans, and they're just like, they're like,
that'd be interesting.
It makes it even more, American.
Yeah, you're right. We're gonna. I mean, there's gonna be a push, or if someone hasn't done it already, we will see 4 females on the stage doing the show.
That's why I wrote Sound of Plaid,
mm-hmm.
and we revoiced it for women. Which is, there are 24 characters, and half of them are women for the Glee Club version of Plaid.
Right.
Nice.
I have to actually look at. I would love to see that.
I did a production of that as well. I played the
principal.
I played the principal.
That was with Lindsay Mendez, right?
Yes, that was opposite Lindsay Mendez.
Oh, that's a nice hat tip.
Wow.
That's a really nice hat tip for someone that knows who you are, to see you do that and then be like, oh, wow, that's actually pretty cool. He turned into Mr. Belding.
Yeah.
But Stuart, I know we have to let you go. Thank you so much for coming and joining us on our little show. It means the world to everybody here.
Absolutely.
And
thank you for this show.
Yes. Well,
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the words. Just thank you for the words. I mean, it's incredible what you created.
Oh, and Jacob, have a great show tonight. Give everybody a
Yes.
Yes, great.
Thank you.
Break many legs, Jacob.
Do you hold hands and take 3 deep breaths and think about James Ray for me while you do that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for all of it. Yes.
Bye, David. Bye, David. Bye,
thank you,
Rob.
Stuart. You changed my life.
David.
You know it.
I forgot your name, Robert and
Frank.
Let's go. Yeah, great. Okay, hi.
Who's
Who's
that?
that?
Awesome.
Come down so we can see you.
Oh,
This is Michael Duran.
Hey, how you doing? Stuart, you and I have met before.
Yeah, where?
Like the very first reading of Forever Plaid in the basement of West Side Arts, I believe. Is that right?
West Bank.
I don't know what year that was. I'm too
West
old to
Bank
remember.
Cafe.
Yeah, it was in the cafe in West Side Arts. I think in the basement.
West Bank Cafe, yes.
Yeah, it's in the basement.
Because
Yeah.
Jason Gras, a good friend of mine,
Oh, good.
I think he was part of that the original cast, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
later, yeah, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyway, it's good to see you guys. This is awesome.
So,
Oh, thank you. I have to go to a wedding.
Oh, fun.
Fun.
Bye.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Bye, Stuart.
Take care.
Guys, really wonderful.
That's great.
And then there was Smudge.
that-
Hey, wait. No.
Oh wait, we
Scott,
got
sorry.
Just smudges.
No,
Well,
I said, and then there was Smudge.
Oh,
Well, I'm actually just about to check out as well too.
David,
So I have to
thank you. Thank
to
you.
head off.
Thank you. Thank you.
take
My
care,
buddy,
Thank
Mr.
you.
House.
my buddy for
Thank-
20 plus years. Love you, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you, Scott. And thank you, David Engel. And I didn't get to work it in. I so wanted to work in the fact that I saw you as a Wickersham brother.
Oh, you did.
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Third,
Okay,
third,
great.
third row center on the corner.
And
absolutely
and
loved it.
You had done. Oh, so because you were doing plaids in the 90s. You did it in 99, right?
Yes.
I did. Yes.
So yeah, that
Yeah.
was
So
2000. So you knew who I was at that time when you saw it. I mean, you knew that.
yes, I'm definitely one of those kind of nerdy dorks that starts going, oh, well, this person was in that, and then they were in this. Now I just saw them in this. And
It is
yeah.
because I had done Forever Plaid and they knew it, that I got that because just there is the line, he's fat, he's dumb, he's slow. And that's why I
they wanted to bring you in for that, for the low note.
a couple of low lines, but they needed a real true athletic dancer, and I am a dancer. I was a dancer, so you can't find dancers that are basses, and so they actually brought me in. They knew I could.
And
Yeah, no, you and the three of you, because I forget the third one. I know the other one was he played Willard in Footloose, because I just seen him in that.
Tom Plotkin.
Yes,
And
I forget who
Tom
the third
Plotkin.
one was.
Tom Plotkin was in the first Plaid that I ever did.
Oh, really?
He was a plaid? I cannot imagine him being a plaid.
He was
I'll see
Frankie in
my-
the first Plaid that I understudied before he
I'll see, now I can-
on Broadway.
I could add another layer to my nerdy. Well, this person did that. Yep. Thank you, Scott.
Yes.
Can't imagine.
Rittenhouse has a big whiteboard at his house.
Oh, I do. It's like that. It's like that scene in A Beautiful Mind where Russell Crowe's connecting everything. Yeah, it's not good. So, but thank you, everybody. Thank you, Plaids.
David, we love you.
Thank you.
All right,
Nice
love you
to
guys
meet you.
too. Take care.
I'm sorry to be a jerk. I'm signing off with other David.
Yeah.
David, so great meeting you. Thank you so much for being here. Jacob, break a leg
Thank you so
tonight.
much.
Fredroid,
The rest
love
of your
you.
run.
Thank you so much
Oh, please. This was a big pleasure.
for actually turning on your camera. I mean,
I'm actually wearing pants too, which is unbelievable.
Nice.
But,
That's always a plus.
maybe.
I'll see you soon at Pioneer, buddy.
I'll be there.
Good to see you, buddy.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good night. Great seeing you, Scott.
And then there were four.
Can I just tell a little story?
You can.
Please.
And really, Jacob, it's for you and to share with your fellow plaids. But just, I mean, this was it was always instilled into us to keep it earnest, keep it honest. Don't go after the comedy. Play the characters. Let it be funny. Once you start playing up the jokes, I'm leading to something here. The audience doesn't laugh. They'll laugh, but you don't have to tell them it's funny. They can figure it out.
Yeah.
And so James Raitt told us this story, and it became our mantra. We would say it to each other on stage. So he said that, Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne, really big acting couple, 40s and 50s, British, and they were doing an English drawing room comedy on Broadway. There's the Lunt Fontanne Theater in New York is named after them.
Mhm.
And at one point in the second act, Alfred, this was opening night, and Alfred asks for the tea. He asks, you hand me the tea. May I have the tea? Something like that. And it gets this huge laugh, but that's because of everything that was before it, that it sets up and he's now asking for the tea. And so that was opening night, huge laugh. Next night he goes, may I have tea? No laugh. Next night he's like, may I have the tea? Just pass me the tea. Whatever. Different way to go every time. And he said in an English accent, but he said to Lynn after a week, he goes, I don't understand it. On opening night, when I asked for the tea, it got this huge laugh. And since then, I can't get the laugh. I keep trying different things, but I can't get it. And she goes, that's because on opening night, you asked for the tea. Since then, you have been asking for a laugh. Just ask for the tea. And honestly, that became our mantra, because anytime we'd see each other on stage, going over that more than we needed to do,
Right.
the audience wouldn't react, and we would just go, just ask for the tea.
Mm.
And it really did. I mean, it is the story I tell every cast that I've ever directed.
Yeah.
That, you know, just let it be the characters. And also, every time I've done it, I go, don't look at the originals. You don't, and it's the worst thing you do is try to, and Rob, you know, is saying that you have me there, but you have to make it your own. You need to, because it needs to be honest. It needs to come from you guys, and you guys create your own version of it. It's very nice to be imitated, but I mean, it doesn't work it can't work that way. It has to be you. It has to be you.
Sure.
And it has to be honest.
Beautiful.
I remember Sean, who directed me in it, he had just come from production of 19-year-olds doing it. And he was like, they may not have been the most seasoned performers, but because they were they just knew, and they just did it.
Yeah.
And he, you know, we were a bunch of 26, 28-year-olds, and, you know, we knew the things that were funny. We were not playing it out that way, but he just said, you have to think like when you were 19. Like you have no idea that these are funny things.
Right.
So I agree with you.
And when the audience laughs, I mean, there was, it gives such a great response when the audience laughs and you're like, what, you know, because they're laughing at you.
Right.
And that's what you want.
Exactly.
Don't make them.
Like
Just
when
let them.
When I pick up my head from the suitcase and I have the thing across my lip, you know, the milk and magnesia across my lip, you know, I say, why, you know, I would blah, blah, blah. And I look over and there's Frankie, you know, and he's like disgusted with me. Like he comes over with his little rag and dabs my lip. And, you know, you sit there and you're like, you hear the audience roaring, and, you know, I know in my head why they're roaring, but at that moment, you know, it's just, I didn't do that for a laugh. This is just who I am. And, you know, the suitcase always centered me. For some reason, when I looked inside that suitcase, I was Smudge again. If I kind of fell.
As it should be. That's your comfort, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up, David. When you told your story about the pole being, you know, grabbing onto the pole, for me as a director, the he finally gets it moment during rehearsals was when Rob made, like, for you the pole was your center. That's where you felt safe. For Rob, it was when he got to play with and finally become one with the suitcase. Mm-hmm. You know, he just said, you know, the suitcase grounded him as Smudge. That was his safe place. And for me as a director, I saw that moment for the first time, and I'm like, oh, okay, he finally gets it. And and from there on, he became Smudge. Yeah. It wasn't Rob Nicholson playing Smudge. It just, and all of my anxieties is, okay, are they gonna get this? And, you know, because the four people I had never even heard of the show before.
Oh boy.
You know, I had a very young kid playing Jinx opposite, you know, three pretty decent seasoned actors.
That's the role to be.
Yeah. And it was okay. I know my Frankie, he was going to get it. I had to beat it into his head a little bit, but he finally got it and came around. My Sparky, maybe I worked with him a little bit more than the others because Sparky's very near and dear to my heart.
Harder on Sparky.
I was actually very much more critical of his performances because he didn't ask for the tea.
Yeah.
Which I love, and I'm going to use. I hope you don't mind that.
No, it's a known story, but it's just they don't ask for that.
Fantastic. But I think, you know, my proudest moment was seeing Rob connect and get grounded and knowing that that prop on stage with him is what's going to be his safe space, and know that it just was like, oh,
He's gonna make me cry.
I know, I can see it.
But
I can see it.
this, you know, I remember, and I'll open it up and I'll show you guys, but this is the list of songs that we sing in the whole
running
entire
order.
show, the running order. And I did that because that's what the script said, running order. But
You're so
then
mad.
at the end, I had so much trouble with that final monologue. And I wrote down, and I'll read it to you: I wish, I like, I want, finally, maybe. Ladies, vanguard of the sounds, guy groups, Beatles, good, different. And it was because I kept in my head, I was killing myself. And I never once opened this to look at those words during the show. But knowing that they were in my book, they were in Smudge's head. As soon as they went in here, they were here.
Yeah.
Now, I have, you can't see in front of me, but my wall of stuff. And it's all my horror stuff, my Broadway stuff, everything. This book stays there pinned to the wall, and it'll stay there forever. And it's just those moments that I chose to write in here, just like if I was writing a book myself. That is what, once it was in here, it was in here.
Yep.
He might disagree with me sometimes, but once it was in here, it was in here.
That is totally the case. I mean, if you do that, just knowing that you've got a safety net there,
Yeah.
it frees you up to know, like, I'm not alone. I've got it if I have to. But then you relax.
Because at that ending, it's so, I'm so sad by the end of that. I mean, it's like Rent ending for me. I mean, it's such a moment with Smudge again in the audience. And, you know, your heart, I mean, I'm going back to heaven or wherever we're going, but, you know, we're leaving. And number one, as the actor, the show's over. You know, in a couple minutes, the show's going to be over. But also, Smudge, you know, has come so far, and now he doesn't want to leave, and he knows he has to, and that's just, ugh.
But what happens at the end, and I think that last speech, this Frankie's speech, it's been called the unfortunate monologue because not everybody can pull it off, but it is a really beautiful speech. And the thing that is learned, and it's very Wizard of Oz, is that you don't have to look any further than your own backyard. We had our time together. We had that perfect note. And that's what we came back to look for. We were living unsettled lives. I mean, the show is so simple, but it's so complex in that way. And we come back. Well, why are we back? Because we felt we lived unfinished lives. But by the end, you find out that our bond, our friendship, the music that we made, I'm going to get a little emotional. That perfect chord in the Mercury, that kind of moment, and it's perfect moments like that not everybody ever gets in their lifetime, and that's enough. And so you do get to, I mean, Smudge does come around, and they do come together and sing that. I'm getting a little emotional here because what I'm going to say, I never, ever sing that last song without, at the very end, once on a high windy hill, just thinking of James Raitt. And he is St. James. That is who he is to me, and is to us. I mean, he totally changed my life. But it at the end of the show, I mean, it's really sad, but you get to come the next day and do it again. But it's good. The guys are at peace, and they can move on.
Yeah.
I think it's a really beautiful ending.
And
quiet ending.
I'm going to say that is a perfect place to end the show. From the bottom of my heart, David, I shot my shot, you know, and I messaged you the other day, man. I was like, sure. Might be a long shot. And 5 minutes later, you know, one of my, I'm going to call you a hero of mine. One of my heroes is like, yeah, sure. Why not? You want to go have a beer? No, you didn't
And then-
say that, but
And then I called Stuart.
next time.
You knew,
next
that, you
time
knew
I'm
I
out
had
here.
it in with Larry Raben.
What's
so,
that?
You know, get him to come on. But then you didn't even ask me, and I go, Stuart, we're doing this thing. You come do it. And
Right.
so-
I mean, he says to me, I got another special guest for you. And I just told him my dog died. For anybody that listens to my show, and also the R&D project before that, you know Riley, because you hear him upstairs from time to time barking. Sadly, he passed away last week from a heart attack suddenly.
Sorry.
He's my buddy. He's watching over us. And I had just told David that, you know, my dog passed away, and, you know, I was trying to get scheduling all in my head and worked out. And he said, I have another special guest for you. And he told me Stuart. And I was like, oh my God, this is the.
You were like, OMG in 3 different.
I did. I did say that. OMG.
Oh,
And
you
he
should have
said-
seen the
he sent me
messages
a
I got.
message right after that.
I
too.
said,
And I was like,
dude, you're not gonna believe this. And you've made this week that much better for me. Number one, I got to be with my really, really good friends since the first day of 6th grade. You made my birthday better, which is up on Tuesday. You made the week
I can't be
better.
responsible for all this, but thank you.
And honestly, I mean, you know, I know we'll talk in the future. We have a lot of things to talk about. But from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of everybody that's here across the nation, the Plaid Nation, the Plaid Brotherhood, thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure.
Jacob.
I love that there's so many Plaids out there. Who knew?
Right.
I mean,
right.
we had no idea. But I love that it is such a brotherhood, and I am a family with all of you. And thank you for having me.
Jacob, break every single bone tonight. Not even just legs, man. You go out there, and if you don't cry during Splendor thing, I'm coming out there.
You're a bad actor.
It's ridiculous how much I tear up on stage. Like,
Yeah,
no
you're
matter
like
how
me.
many times I've done this,
We're
it's
both
every
bald
night.
smudges.
Different moments. It's like, ooh, you know. So again, yes, this has been an honor. Thank you guys for this. It's gonna just the 3 guys are waiting tables right now, so I know they were just ecstatic, and they send their love, and we will definitely, the show's for y'all tonight and for James, and so thank you so much for all this. So
Thank you.
Absolutely, I hope we can reunite again.
Tell the
Absolutely.
guys to ask for the
would-
tea.
And Scott,
Ask for the tea.
my new friend. Thank you for agreeing to do this. You know, basically at almost last moment. You know, I was very, very happy when David told me, hey, you got to talk to this guy. And like 5 minutes later, we were on the phone, and you were telling me all this stuff you had done with Plaid, and you know, having somebody like that to bring their experiences to the table and share with the other people that are ultimately going to watch this. And they're not going to be watching it for me. They're going to be watching it for Stuart and Larry and David.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It brought back incredible memories for me, because I haven't been associated with it for a few years. And just like the final monologue, that I can't, every time I was on stage with that, it did bring tears to my eyes. It was a special moment for me every single time, every single show. And the last time I said it, I was pretty sure I knew it was the last time. So it's hard to not get a chance to do it again. But there have been incredible memories and incredible friendships that I have built over the years through that, and remain friends with a lot of people I've done the show with. David on the show with. So thank you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. And Frankie.
Hey, I love you, brother.
Love you too.
You know, long time we've been together. So, guys, you know, from the bottom of my heart, David, it was an absolute honor to meet you, and get to spend this time with you. You know, I've known who you were for, you know, since at least 1999 when I was able to do this. You know, Jacob, break every leg that you can, not only your own, everyone else's out there. It's fantabulous. Scott, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you. I hope I get to speak with you all again at some point. And thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Good night.
And my listeners, thank you all so much for joining, for supporting. Please like, follow, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family, share with people you don't like. Doesn't matter. Y'all know me. Y'all know who I am. I promise you, we will be back to horror within the next 3 shows. I have some other things planned for you guys, more pop culture-y, but we will be back talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night, the remake done by my good friend Anthony and Massey Media. They are producing it. I am super, super stoked for him to be doing it. He'll be on to talk about that and the Paranormal Activity documentary that he is finishing up. And that will be with Nate Reagan. But otherwise, like I said, please like, follow, subscribe, and share. I love you all. I'm so glad that I'm back. And as always, I am out. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hark when the night is falling. Hear, hear the pipes are calling. Loudly and proudly calling down through the glen. Towering in gallant fame, Scotland by mountain name, long may your proud standards gloriously wave. Land of my high endeavor, land of the shining river, land of my heart forever, Scotland the brave. Crum, 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 Scotland the brave. Scotland the